Hello dear students, welcome back to the science class. Today we are moving to our second chapter, that is soil erosion and conservation. You know that the soil, it is the uppermost layer that covers the earth's surface and it supports all the different life forms on the earth, isn't it? The soil not only helps the plants to grow, they also provide a habitat to many of the living organisms on the earth. And of course, without the plants, the other living organisms cannot survive, because the plants provide them shelter and oxygen and different things to the other living organisms. So, in a way, you can say that the soil is the foundation of all the life on the earth. So, without the soil, no life can exist on the earth. So, let us see first about the formation of the soil. Do you know how the soil is formed? Soil is formed from the rock particles, or the rocks. They have broken down into smaller pieces, and finally they have changed into this loose material known as soil. The earth, when it was formed, there was no soil. There it was only covered with huge rocks. Due to the heat from the sun and due to the cold climate, the big rocks or huge rocks, they start breaking down into smaller pieces. And again, due to the wind, water, etc., these rock particles, they were carried to different places, and when they are carried, of course, they rub each other, which again broke the rock particles into smaller pieces. Finally, these small rock particles, they broke down into fine particles, and finally they have formed into this soil. It took millions of years for the formation of soil. Now I hope you understood the importance of soil and the need for its conservation, because it supports all the life form on the earth, and it will take almost millions of years for its formation. So it is very important to conserve the soil and preserve the fertility of the soil for maintaining the balance in the nature. So first let us see about the soil erosion, and then we will move into the conservation of the soil. So soil erosion, do you know what is the soil erosion? It is simply the washing away of soil, or the carrying away the soil particles by the action of either wind, water, etc. is known as soil erosion. And a little before we have studied that the moving water or wind, they help in the formation of soil, but it also can harm the soil. It can also lead to the soil erosion. So remember, soil erosion, it is the washing away or carrying away of the soil by the wind or water is known as soil erosion. And what is the result of this soil erosion? It washes the topsoil, and the land, it loses the fertility. You know, the fertility of the lands promote the growth of plants. So if it loses its fertility, of course, the growth of the plants will be affected, and the farmers, they will not get any good harvest, and finally the total balance of the earth will be lost. The number of plants growing, they will start to reduce, and finally it will affect all the life forms on the earth. So soil erosion, it affects the soil mainly by taking away the fertility of the soil. So now let us see what are the different causes of soil erosion. First one is the running water. Running water, of course, we have learned that it produces the soil, but it also causes the soil erosion in large amount. When there is an ordinary flow of water, that means when the water is flowing only through the river, of course it may not lead to much soil erosion. But when there is heavy rain and flood, there will be a huge amount of running water, which causes a large amount of soil erosion, especially in the hilly areas. So it makes this soil in the hilly areas unfertile or not fit for cultivation. Is this running water only causes soil erosion in the hilly areas? No, it can even cause the soil erosion in the plains. How? When this running water or this rivers finally reach the plains, this sand or the mud that was carried by the water will deposit in the plains, and due to this high accumulation of soil, the path of the river or the course of river may change, which may even lead to huge soil erosion, or which may even lead to some disasters. Soil erosion, it can even lead to the change in course of a river or in the path of a river. Of course, those things have happened even in India. In Bihar, there is a river known as Kosi, and it is known as the Sorrow of Bihar. In 2008, due to this high soil erosion, there was a change in the course of the river, and it almost affected more than 1 lakh people in Bihar. And river named Yellow River in China has also changed its path or course due to the same reason. So now let us see about the soil erosion caused by the wind. This soil erosion by the wind is usually taking place in deserts and semi-desert area where the soil does not contain much water content. So when there is heavy wind, the soil may be carried by the wind, and of course when the topsoil is carried by the wind, the manure or the fertility of the soil is lost, and the covering of the root, the soil cover of the roots of the plants, they are also lost, and it will even lead to the death of this plant. So this soil erosion by the wind, it is mainly happening in the desert or semi-desert area. Now finally, human beings, they can also lead to the soil erosion, or they can cause this soil erosion. How? Of course, you know, the deforestation is the main reason of the soil erosion. Deforestation means the cutting down of trees. You know, the roots of these trees and plants, they held the soil very tightly, which actually prevents the soil erosion. So when these human beings cut down all the trees for their uses, they are making the soil very loose, and finally it will increase the washing away of soil, or it will increase the soil erosion. So this cutting down of trees or deforestation is a main cause of soil erosion. And second one, overgrazing will reduce the number of plants or grass in an area, and it will of course make the soil loose, and it will even increase the soil erosion. And finally, ploughing of the hilly areas. Of course, ploughing, they also loosen the soil, which will increase the amount of soil erosion. So human beings, they are mainly causing the soil erosion in 3 ways, that is by deforestation, over ploughing, and overgrazing. So in our next class, we will see how we can conserve or how we can reduce the soil erosion. So thank you all, and we will meet again in our next class.